Welcome back to the PMC Project, the Positive Masculinity Crusade. This one, we're finishing up a series right now. This series called Raise Your Standards. How can you upgrade yourself? How do you raise your standards? Okay, we just finished up this section here, got done with that about putting in boundaries to protect the new levels. Every time you raise a new level, you need to put in and buttress that. Put in some new fortifications here. This would be a little bit shorter program on this, 8, 10, 12 minutes. But I think this one's as important as any of them because it wraps it up. Abednego, and this one really Monday morning stuff, MMS, right? Monday morning functional stuff where we can get started because people have heard now, Ragnar and all these other 3 shows. What do we do? Okay, top 5. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Self-deserve level, self-image. I don't know. What do we start? Boundaries. Everything's confusing. We're going to tell you right now, real quickly. Okay. What do we need to do Monday morning? Get this thing started. Get this program off and running. First thing you need to do is look at that red button below, that subscribe button, and hit that. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay. But one of the things that kept coming up over and over and over is upgrade your top 5. Well, okay. So I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but how do we put it into place? Okay. First thing we did, these 3 faces that are looking at me on the screen right here. That's all we had, guys. We had 3 people, okay? When we started our effort now, over 60 people we've trained, we're going on 3 years. You got to start somewhere. Get you and your buddy. In my case, I got 2 buddies, okay? These are my Pall-Bearer guys. That's a term we use about who we let in our life to vote on things, okay? And we call it your Pall-Bearer buddies because there's only 6 of those. Those are the only people that get in and vote in my life. They've been filtered out, and we got 3 of us right here, okay? And that's what we started with. So you got to start somewhere, okay? So I've got a couple hits. I'm going to go to you after this, Ragnar, then we'll go to Abednego. There's a couple things I would say right away to get started, all right? Start building your group of 5. You can't all of a sudden upgrade your top 5 in one day, in a week. But man, get a couple people on board with you, all right? So number 1 is start to upgrade that. Get your protein friends in line, not cotton candy people. Not the next day they're flying out the door. Protein, they're going to stick with you. Your pallbearer people, who are going to be there carrying you out when your casket's there. So that's number 1 for me is build your top 5 and start to build that, and you go from there, okay? Number 1, for me, start building your top 5. Number 2, you've got to start upgrading your software here, guys. We talked about deserve level. You can't all of a sudden think you're in the market for a better life if you still have deserve level, like you're back down in junior high fighting over locker combinations and somebody jumped in place in the lunch line. That's not the deal, okay? So for me on that, you've got to start doing different things. For me, it means reading. I read at least a book a week. If that's not your thing, go to podcasts, okay? If that's not your thing, go to a mastermind group. There's some group around. If there's not, you start your group, okay? But you've got to start doing that. So that's for me, start building your group of people. Who's in your top 5? Number 2 for me, reading's a big one. If it's not for you reading, Ragnar, I know you've got some other ideas. Take it away on your top couple ideas here. Monday morning stuff, some maintenance items. How do we do this? Go ahead.
Well, I think with your to kind of continue on with that thought is, what are 3 or 4 traits that your top 5 must have be considered as a top 5 member? So because you don't have that clarity on what you're looking for, then it's going to be kind of hard to differentiate those people from the rest of the population. So get clear on your 3 or 4 big blocks that these people have to have, so that you can pick them out of the crowd. And I mean, all 3 of us have kind of gotten pretty good at now to pick out those type of people in the crowd and start the process of moving them up the ladder, and seeing if they can qualify for that. So that's what I recommend, is each person's going to have their own set of traits. We're trying to clear on 3 or 4 things there that they must-haves for your top 5 members. So then you can pick those 5. The second thing is get clear on what your wants and no longer wants are. Like, There's a famous entrepreneur named Jeff Paul. I no longer want to wear a tie. He was in this institution and he had to wear ties all the time, and he hated it. And he wanted to get in a business where he no longer had to wear a tie. That was a big rock for him. I no longer want to wear a tie, except unless it's a wedding or a funeral, where just out of respect. But other than that, day to day, I no longer want to wear a tie, and that was one of his things. So what are your must-haves, your must-wants, and what are your no longer wants? And get clear on that, because that's also going to help you get clarity on self-image, your deserve level, and your standards. I no longer want to be sitting in a cubicle and I don't have a window and I can't sit outside. I'm never going to do that again. Or I want to set a plan to make that not happen. And I'm never going to go without sex for a month again. That's never going to happen. I'm going to start a plan today that's not going to happen. I'm no longer going to do that. And then what are your wants? Well, every quarter I want to take a week off, go on vacation somewhere, someplace nice. Every quarter I'm going to make that happen. Those are my wants, and then my no longer wants. I'm no longer going to have a 40-inch waist, and set a plan so that it can happen. And just start getting clear wants and no longer wants. I think that's really important.
I think we could almost say, Ragnar, what's your non-negotiables? That is kind of a first cousin of kind of that stuff. I think, if you're going to start building your life, look, I'm sorry if you didn't have some of this in your junior high or when you're 20. None of us did. So I'm sorry for all you people out there who didn't get that. But there's no reason why you're not now. If you're listening to this when you're 20, by the way, that's our number one demographic out there, by the way, 20 to 28-year-old guys. All right. So go ahead and get started right now. Go ahead and get started on this. I know that because I got all the back metrics lined out from YouTube. They send me all the time. So I know who our number one demographic is. All right. Go ahead and start that. I didn't have it when I was 20. Ragnar, you didn't. Abednego, you didn't either. And we're trying to get you a shortcut. We're trying to get you an on-ramp to this information superhighway of all this stuff. Okay. Put this deal in place. He said, look, go on a vacation every quarter. Well, why can't you do that? Go ahead and do that in your life. Put that in place. Make that happen. Go ahead and plan it. The more you plan it, it'll happen. Abednego, I know you've got a couple, 3 things that you're itching to get to. Go ahead and start on that.
Well, you guys did a really good job of taking all the good stuff. But there is some more good stuff out there. I will say this, how important it is to build your top 5. For me, I had not read a functional book since college until I started hanging around with these guys. And then it's like you were compelled to read a book. But once you get in that growth pattern where you've got other people that are doing that are growing, and you want to grow, it just perpetuates itself. That it is so important to do that. For me, it's things like, man, go be a winner. Quit being a loser. Go win these fit tests. Make decisions. Decide what you want to do, and just go do it. And if your wife wants to go with you, great. And if she doesn't want to go with you, fine. You're going to go do it anyway. I bet if you keep doing that, she's going to come along for the ride. And she's going to be way happier at the end of the day. Women are drawn to that alpha energy. They're drawn to guys who are leaders, guys who can make decisions, guys who are confident. And so be that guy. Make decisions, know what you want, and go after what you want. I think that's important. I also think it's important to give you permission to cut people out of your life. I think, as important as it is to pick your top 5, you need to pick people also that you just need to eject from your life and not be around anymore. Those people, for whatever reason, whether they're energy vampires or whatever the case may be, they're net negatives all the time. There are times that you have to minister to people like that, but you need to minimize that as much as you can. You got to remember that Jesus had over 100 people at one time following him. He decides he's going to cut it down to 12. And then out of the 12, he goes, really, there's these 3 guys over here that I'm really going to pour into. Jesus had this way of cutting people out of his life, and it didn't look bad. He was picking people that he was going to pour into. studies show that you can only really have relationships with up to 140 people like that you would even know, that you feel like you have a contact with. But when it comes down to these real relationships, you're down to 12. When it comes down to super close friends, you're down to that 3 or 4 range. And so, you know, it's okay to cut people out. You don't have to be super close friends with everybody. I think that's important. Otherwise, you just run yourself ragged again.
You know, I don't know if somehow I jumped onto a motivational speaker circuit. I'm not sure I can follow any of what you guys are saying here. You guys are making it really hard. I will say this, Ragnar, you finished the last show with this, man, get some wins. Get some wins. Okay. Now a win is getting some respectability back. A win is sometimes telling somebody no. A win, listen, you would not believe, and I wish we had audio for this. I know we do somewhere. Okay. But maybe the librarian quit on us or went to college. I don't know where he went, but I could find it somewhere if I needed to. But you would not believe the show we had where one of our guys said, and he was so jacked up, I've never seen this. He said he decided between pizza or burrito. Okay. And he went through the roof on self-image because he made a decision. Now, it might seem like a small decision at the time, pizza, burrito. But for him, who hadn't made a decision in how many years and is miserable in his life, friends, everything. So get some wins. Make a decision on this, guys, okay? As we get ready to close out, last item that you have for us, Ragnar.
Well, one thing I want to address, we've talked about it many times on the other shows, is the locus control. Because when you feel like you're not in control and life is doing you instead of you doing life, your self-image is that of a gnat. But when you start taking back some control in your life, you know, you start going for that walk in the morning, you start reading that book, you start pushing back, you start saying no. You start raising your standards, you're raising your desire level, you start doing some kind of visualization, kind of write down your ideal life. Start doing that, you start taking back slowly some control in your life, start slowly expanding your circle of influence, and next thing you know, your self-image is increased. So looking for ways, not be a controlling person, but be in control. Okay, a controlling person is not attractive, but to be in control, start taking back some control. Getting these little wins, start making changes, things that you can control, and you will start seeing that self-image. You'll start feeling better every day. But once you can take some control of your life, and you feel like you're more in control, that life's not just whizzing on you on your forehead every day, and you feel like you're taking some control over again, your self-image will automatically jump when that happens.
You know, Ragnar, this idea, moving over where you belong, toward the alpha side of that continuum, okay? Leave that old beta person behind. Start setting boundaries. Start fighting this real estate back, okay? And the more you do this and pass fit tests, that's where you get that real estate back on the alpha side of that. Abednego, last thoughts, buddies. We get ready to close out.
Just this. Jesus said one of the reasons that he came is so that we could have life and have life to the full. And so quit settling for less than life to the full. If your life doesn't feel full, then it's most likely it's something that is some issue with deserve level, it's some issue with top 5, it's some issue with what we're talking about every time that we get together. So quit settling for less than life to the full. You deserve more. You're made in the image of God.
Can't top that, guys. Thanks for being here for the Crusader. Again, here on the PMC project, for Abednego, for Ragnar. We're just trying to help everybody out there in all these areas, okay? You can help us. Hit that subscribe button. You got comments, concerns, Crusader1921@gmail, okay? So just signing off here on your weekly maintenance items. Thanks, guys. We'll get back to you for another show. You guys have a great week. Thanks.